Okay, the prior week, what is it that we mainly looked at? Can you quickly sort of run me through? Where did we leave? Give me context. I thought there was nobody on the forum. Let me hear some context, whoever was here the prior week. When I say prior week, the prior session, the week before. Okay. Nobody? Nobody attended the prior session?
Unfortunately, I got disconnected, but I believe we were summarizing the Ayodhya Kand.
Thank you, Mataji, for saving the day. uh, yes. Um, so we were summarizing the Ayodhya Kanda and we almost did till chapter 17. This is when Rama has been summoned. So, broadly speaking, Dasharatha communicates to everybody about his desire and that he is also already consulted. People are very happy. Asked Vashishta to make the necessary arrangements. Dasharatha then goes ahead, goes to his palace, summons Rama. Sumantra brings Rama over. He gives him necessary advice. Rama goes back. Vashishta visits Rama, tells him what he needs to do with regard to readiness for the coronation day. And then that's the end of that day on the Rama side. Now, Mantara, the wonderful, sees all the jubilation happening, specifically seeing Kaushalya's home being festive. In that situation, she hears that it's Rama's coronation, comes, poisons the mind of Kaikeyi, who initially is happy listening about Rama's coronation, gifts her something, she throws that away, and then talks about the major points which make the difference. Why Bharata will become a slave for Rama, why Bharata may be killed, why Bharata, gives all of that and spoils the mind of Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi goes to Shokagraha and waits for Dasharatha to come. Dasharatha comes, attempts to console her in multiple ways. She is not relenting. In that situation, finally, Dasharatha, when he makes a promise to say that I will fulfill whatever you ask for, that's when she frightens Dasharatha by asking, by saying that Sakshi, the sun is the Sakshi, the 8 directions are the 10 directions are the Sakshi, the moon is the Sakshi, your forefathers are the Sakshi, your family gods are demigods are the Sakshi. Then Dasharatha realized something big is coming, asked for the 2 boons, asked for Bharata to be coronated, etc. Now, this is the scene that has been set. Sumantra is sent to go. When Sumantra comes in the morning, he is able to see the king is had a late night. So he doesn't understand. But Sumantra goes to Rama, and there's a beautiful description of Rama's space. Once that is done, we come back to Rama entering Dasharatha's space. So this is where we left to context the prior week. I catch up from there. Possibly will cover 2-3 major chapters. I'm definitely slowing down compared to what I thought I would be pacing up, but we'll see how much coverage we can have. Please be with me, please be attentive so that we may be in a position to share some of these. The more I read, I'm just getting back the memories of what we did originally, and I think that would do the same for you. Hare Krishna. So, Rama enters. Rama enters the king's space. The first thing he does is offer his respects to the father, and then he expects what usually is meted out to him. As soon as he walks in, if you see earlier, when just the prior day, evening, when he went to meet Dasharatha, there is a description of how Dasharatha, Rama's folded hands, Dasharatha takes hold of his folded hands with one of his hands and embraces Rama. This was a daily ritual, possibly because they were also living in different palaces. But whenever they met, Rama would get that wonderful embrace from Dasharatha, which is the father's embrace of the son, which is a very nurturing embrace. And he looks up and he sees a father who's not happy at his seeing him. There has never been once a circumstance that Dasharatha is not happy on seeing Rama. So Rama is completely shell shocked looking at this. Uh, and more than that, the fact that Dasharatha is not even looking at him. Dasharatha is looking at the ground. Dasharatha is not speaking one word. The only thing that he could get himself to speak is Rama iti. And he couldn't speak anything more and get his throat choked up. But there is a bigger fear that overtakes Rama. The fear that a father has never seen his, a son has never seen his father with red eyes, with tears in his eyes, in a completely dilapidated state where he has lost his energy and his shine. That the great king who's always been seen resplendent, strong, the leader of the nation, the person who has won over so many demigods, he is seeing that person sitting there as a broken man. And seeing that, Rama is actually shocked. Just as many young children may never have seen their father cry. So that's a dangerous situation to be in, and that hurts Rama. So Rama is showing fear. Yad bibeti swayam bhayam. Uh, Padasprashteva pannagam is the word that is being used, as if he suddenly stamped over a snake. Rama is jolted by the fact that his father is in a completely broken state. He's not able to assimilate that. So then Rama starts to worry. He says, he's saying, Nripatir, Mam, Prati Abhinandati. He's asking Kaikeyi, what's happening? You are the one here. You know what's happening here. Uh, he's not reciprocating with me. Earlier, I've seen that even if he is in an angry state of mind, the anger would be paused when I come, and I would be given the attention. I would be given the love and affection, and then if it has to be as a king or an administrator may have to do, he carries on with what what he has to do. So here he's saying, um, have I done something wrong? Is it my aparada? Have I done something wrong because of which this is coming through? Yes, he says, I actually, frankly, I don't want to even live. Ah, Muhurtamapi Necheyam Jivitum. I don't want to even live for 1 second if I have been disobedient to my father. It has two implications. One is the fact that he is my father, but the second is the fact that he is the king, and I can't obey both of these. To me, he's my God. But then he thinks probably there's something else. Is it COVID? Is it hypertension? What's the issue? Do I need to get a doctor? Uh, um, or is it that Bharata or Shatrughna have done something because of which the king is unhappy with what has happened, because of which he is sitting in this particular this thing? Has anybody ever spoken harshly to the king? This is the person in front of from whom the entire nation gets its confidence. And if we see him in this state, how is this going to actually help the nation? So it, once Rama speaks all of this, that's when Kaikeyi comes up. Yes, Rama couldn't understand the reason for the displeasure of the father. So he's asking all of these questions. That's when Kaikeyi comes up and says, hey, you know what? Your father is afraid of you. You are the problem. Woo, how could that be? He said, she tells him, listen, a common man many times gives a promise and then regrets at leisure. In a similar manner, your king has now given a promise and he is regretting whether he will be able to fulfill it. This is like a person, when the flood has already passed, you're thinking whether you should be building a dam. The dam should have been built before the flood had actually taken place. So if she's saying, listen, there are two things that are actually affecting this whole scenario. The two things that are there is the fact that your father is angry with me, and the second is the fact that he, out of affection, may not actually fulfill his words. My question is, fulfilling your father's promise to take him out of this gloom, fulfilling your father's promise, keeping the vow of your entire dynasty that they will never once forsake a word that they've given. Now let's rest squarely on your shoulders. So, my question to you, uh, will you fulfill whatever your father asks you to do? Whether Shubhamba, Yadiba, Shubham, whether it is Shubha or Ashubha, will you be in a position to actually do that? Huh? So Rama becomes very, very depressed when he hears this question. He says, um, Piteyam api, uh, 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 Pateyam api pavake, whether I have to jump into the fire, is Bakshayam Visham Tikshnam, whether I have to, consume the heaviest poison, or whether I have to go jump in the ocean. I am ready to do anything. Jivato Vakya Karana, uh, uh, Tad Paschat Bhuri Bhojanat. When a father is there, my greatest duty is actually to be obedient to him. When have I ever not been obedient to my father? Why are you speaking these words to me? Uh, have I? Would I ever bat an eyelid to do whatever my father's bidding is? I've never done that, and I will not do that now. And then comes a famous verse where he says, "Ramo dvirna bibhashase." Rama does not say something twice. When I have committed to something, it's done. Yeah, this is like there's one famous Rajinikanth in the south. He says, "Oru தடவை சொன்னா நூறு தடவை சொன்ன மாதிரி." If I say once, it's as if I've told 100 times. It's so confirmed. Rama says, Ramo dvirna bibhashate. Rama does not speak a second time on that. Or Rama, once he has stated something, will not state something else after that. So Rama has to speak this to give Kaikeyi, because Kaikeyi is challenging him, and therefore he has to make these statements, looking like seemingly talking about himself and his capabilities. And then Kaikeyi feels, oh, okay, now I see that he is committed, he is ready to die for his father. He's already put his neck in line. So now she says, let me tell you what happened during the war. Your father had given me two wounds, gives traces the background. Uh, then she says, you know, Bharatascha Abhishechanam. In one shloka, she decimates the whole thing. And Gamanam, Dandakaranya, Tavacha, Adyaiva Raghava. And she's adding more fuel to it. Till now, she was saying Rama has to go to the forest. Yes, but here she's saying Bharata is going to be coronated. That's the first statement. Okay. Gamanam Dandakaranya. You should go to the Dandakaranya. What does she add to it? Adyaiva. Right now, today, it is immediate that this has to happen. So, and then she says for just a few days, you can go to Switzerland, to Venice for a 7-day package to Venice and Switzerland, each 7 plus 7, 14. So he says, Sapta Sapta Chavarshani, years, not days. Abhishekam, Imam. Yes, you give this up, this Abhisheka, give this up right now. And Jata Ajina Dharo, wear the bark and the deer skin, mat your hair, and head on to the forest. This is what I want. Um, and she says, if you carry out this promise, that's how you're going to help. By doing this, you're going to help your father keep his vow and his promise. And that's very important to him. And that's very important to the dynasty. So what would we expect? We would expect grief. We would expect, why? What did I do? Hey, no, nothing. Rama not batting an eyelid. There is no change in him at all. Looking at that, this is what Dasharatha feared more. This is a son who will not say no to me. This is his problem. And then he says, Dasharatha says, how will I say this to him? That person who does not speak a word by which others will be caused grief. That person who's always pleasing, who always does his duty selflessly. To that person, am I going to tell him that I've banished him? For what sake? So all those considerations, at this point, the Dasharatha who's looking down is looking at Rama to see how he reacts. And Dasharatha is shocked to see that Rama, as he did expect, has simply no reaction at all. Uh, Mahanubhavo, Valmiki uses Raja to Putra, Vyasanam Abhitapta. This added to the Abhitapta, to the pain of Dasharatha, all the more that he says that there is simply no reaction coming from there. So, and the harsh words of Kaikeyi, the way she put it, had no effect on him at all. So, what is Rama's response? Rama says, um, Rajnyaha Pratignyam Anupalayan. The first thing he says, I am going to follow what my father is actually instructed to me. Uh, and he says, Hey Kaikeyi, not only for my father, I want you to be happy. Yes. So I want you to be happy, and I'm very, very happily I'll fulfill what has to be fulfilled. But he says, I'm hurt. And there are a few things that will really hurt me in a very big way. I want to know. Uh, why does he not greet me like before? Why is the king not happy with me? Have I done something wrong? Is there something else at my end? Uh, Jnatum ichchami. What? Kimartam mam abhinandata na abhinandata. Why the king has not been able to greet me with the happiness? Uh, and I'm hurt that, why would the king consider you the medium for telling? All he had to do is call me and tell me, hey, I'm going to coronate Bharata. It's his call. Whatever he says, I'm going to follow that. Yes, I can give up this entire kingdom for Bharata. I can give up anything. I can give up the people of Ayodhya. I can give up Sita. Hmm? Anything to please you, Kaikeyi. It is not, I'm not doing this only simply because it is my father's order. Tavacha priya kamartam, pratignyam anupalayan. Just to please you, I would have done this. Why did you have to put my father through a sleepless night that he has to have? He sit here in a forlorn manner, that he is completely lost and finished with red eyes, with tears, with going through so much pain. This is not an aspect of pain. You should have just told me. You spoken to me. If you had spoken to me, this is just a small job. This is nothing. I could have gotten this done straight away. Now, the more important thing for me is, can you please console him? I don't, you know best what has hit him. You know best what how you can manage this situation. Is there one better? So can you please do that first? I don't want to see him in this difficult state. Can you please console him first? He says, when it comes to my executing what my father has asked me to, avicharya, उसके बाद कुछ विचार नहीं करूंगा. There is no thought. He has told me, and it will be implemented. So then Kaikeyi is now very, very happy that the ploy and how she played it has worked beautifully like a charm with Rama. So immediately she says, I'm going to arrange for Bharata. So he asks people to go ahead, leave at once. Messengers can go with swift horses to call Bharata on one end. And then she looks at Rama and she says, "Hmm, it is only appropriate. Uh, Utsukasya, na utsukasya. Don't delay. Vilambanam. There is no delay. Please leave immediately. Uh, without being ashamed." When says this, she's also saying, hey, listen, Rama, Dasharatha is actually ashamed to tell you this. I'm telling you. Yes, he's not able to tell you this. What is it? Actually, he will not eat, he will not rest, he will not take bath unless you leave this place immediately. Rama is shocked when he hears this, to say that it's my father who wants me out of this place. Nas nasyate bokshyate apiva. He's not going to. So when Dasharatha hears this, he immediately screams, Dik iti, alas, what is this that she is saying? What have I done? That, she is putting such words in my mouth. This was never my intent. And she's telling him this. And hearing that, he's finished. He just falls, he faints. Rama immediately goes, picks up Dasharatha, puts him in space. Um, and then when that happens, Valmiki is describing how, like a whipped horse, a horse which is a thoroughbred horse, which doesn't take whipping. When it gets whipped, it reacts in a manner that you have never seen. In a similar manner, Rama is being shown the door again and again by Kaikeyi here. So he immediately says he's ready to move. At that time, Rama makes one more statement. Viddimam rishibih tulyam. Hey Kaikeyi, understand uh, that you've been, it's unfortunate you've been with me for so many years, you've seen me, but know me to be the equal to the rishis. Kevalam dharmamastitam. I am not here after artha and kama. I only follow dharma, and that dharma I will not give up under any circumstance. And for me, the greatest dharma is actually abiding by my father's instructions, and I will see nothing come by to do that. And he says it is very unfortunate. Na nunam mai kaikeyi kinchid ashamsase gunam, that you expected no quality in me, you expected me not to actually take this. Uh, so, having said this, then Dasharatha, when he wakes up, he cries out. The Dasharatha's cry out is what gives Rama the consolation that it's not my father. It is something else that has happened. My father doesn't desire any of this. So basically, um, he says, he takes leave of Kaikeyi, and he says, I take your permission. You have asked me to leave immediately, but I take your permission for one thing. I want to take leave of my mother, and I want to console my wife. And this done, this done, does he also say Lakshmana? No, not here. This done, I will leave immediately. And then he does pranams to Dasharatha and Kaikeyi and does pradakshina of both of them, and Rama is ready to leave. So as Rama heads out, um, Rama first sees the vessels that where the waters from the great rivers and the oceans have been brought in for the coronation. And seeing that, he does a pradakshina to the vessels. And then slowly moving away thoughtfully, Rama heads on. Rama is followed closely by Lakshmana, who's been seeing all this. He's been hearing all of this and knows very well what's happening. So just as the night's darkness cannot diminish the moon, uh, the na lakshyate chitta vikriyaha, nobody could spot a change of mind in Rama in that state. Yes, nobody. And the fact that the Lord, he is beyond worldly affairs, so that also comes out. So, Darayan Manasa Dukkam, what did he do? He didn't expose that dukkha to anybody outside. Indriyani Nigrahyat Cha, he kept the control of his senses. He did not show his dukkha outside. There is no mm, there is no change in countenance. In fact, Kamba, here Valmiki is saying there is no change in countenance, while Kamba says that he is more cheerful than before, because he is actually fulfilling his purpose. When you really get the most hard things to do in life, look it up as a challenge, as an opportunity to actually prove yourself. We will not be reading Rama's Charita possibly if he didn't have to go to this forest in obedience to his father's words. What a great tapasya to do. If there is glory to Rama comes from the fact that he was ready to, he lived like a tapasvi, and he was ready to abide by dharma and listen to his father's instructions immediately when that was said to him. So when it comes to his friends, all of his friends, he meets them, he speaks sweet words, he's greeting everybody when he goes out. I can't imagine how this can happen. You got the biggest jolt in your life, and you walk out, and you're dealing as if nothing has happened. Speak sweet words. Lakshmana has got tears in his eyes, but Lakshmana also, looking at Rama's example, he knows he can't let the cat out of the bag. They are there in front of thousands of people. They are back going on the same streets through which they came, where people are speaking the glories of Rama. They are talking about the coronation. Everybody is expectant of what is going to happen. Let us look at one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which sort of closes this. Tyaktva yayau vana asun Eva mukta sangaha, mukta sangaha. A person who is mukta sangha, who has no attachment to anything, who may be in the vanaprasthi or a sannyasi stage of his life, who may be from a brahmana background, like those people who are living in the forest as vanaprasthis or sannyasis, they may be mukta sangha, that they can just give up everything. And that too, like the greatest of the mukta sanghas, the tapasvis, who have been the greatest renunciants, very similar to them. Rama here, in most cases, what does anybody else has to give up? What do you have that is worth giving up? But what is it that the Lord has? Uh, is this great Ayodhya, this great kingdom at a particular age when you are supposed to be enjoying yourself? But what Lord Rama is doing is he's gracefully accepting what his father has given to him. In fact, the word here it is saying that he is very cheerfully accepting what has been given to him. Hare Krishna. So I complete these two chapters here. Can I have any comments, queries, or anything in this connection?
I just want to add that although Rama has accepted his father's decision and Kaikeyi's decision, everyone in the palace is super upset with whatever is going on. And especially the mothers, the consorts of Dashratha, they're very sad. And I believe there's a line that says they were crying as though, how the calves, when they are taken away from the mother, that's how the mothers were weeping.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? What's coming up? Can you, like today, maybe I should have first asked you to contribute something. Thank you for bringing that up, Mataji. Can I have some of you talk about, uh, you know, what happens now when he is going to Kaikeyi? Can you give me some more details on that? What do you remember from what you've heard before?
So Prabhuji, according to me, Lakshmana, he'll get very angry. He'll be very angry and he will try to hit Kaikai, but Rama he will stop him and he will say that he is also our mother. And after that he will like Lakshmana will cry a lot because yeah, he had made a promise to Vashishta Rishi that he will always be with Rama in every time and every situation. So Lakshmana he was ready to go with Rama, but Rama he said that you are smaller than me and you should take care of the kingdom along with Bharata, uh, and and uh, so and so
Where is
so
this? Where is this that he made a promise to Vashishta that he would go with Rama wherever he goes?
Prabhuji, when like they were getting training right for weaponry, he had made that promise. I remember.
Where did you get that information from? Interesting. It could be right. Nice. Okay. I would always request you to ask for the source. What we are talking here is from the source. Yes. I don't see this directly relating there, but I don't know. Maybe even I could have touched upon it. Maybe I am forgetting. So always keep the source available as to where you hear this kind of stuff from. Okay, interesting. Go on. Sorry to interrupt. Or anybody else? Any
Prabhu,
additional comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Yes, Prabhu, Hemrut Prabhu.
when Rama was in the state of shock to see his father in a in this depressed state, wherein his eyes are on the ground, and then later on, Kaikai says to Rama, "This state of Dashratha is because of you," and then he had a shock of his life. So I mean, how could Rama was thinking? How could I be the reason for this state? So it is like a bouncer, or I don't want to mix and match from me, So that thing is, and then the way she goes, like she had made the promise, and then got to go to the forest, etc. And then yes, now when he says it's ready to, he's ready to move. So yes, we had so much of discussion. Like, there is one state, there is one place wherein parallelly the coronation is going on, and then it can be easily done. It was been a jubilant affair. It was a festival. All over citizens, the mantris, the yagnas, the sadhus, the entire family is celebrating. And then here parallelly this is going on, wherein you have been asked to leave it. So it is, we had discussed that in today's world, this is not possible, wherein you have everything and then just because of your father's word, you leave everything. So much of learnings from Ramayana, which is so difficult to digest, but then yes, we have to learn so many things. So yeah, he was in a state of shock when Kaikeyi said, "This, you are the reason of he being in this state." So that I remember. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Jai, thank you. True. That really shocked him. Me, I am the cause of my father's distress. How could that happen? As I mentioned to you before, in the Rama Stotra, Om Pitrubhaktaya Namaha. Pitrubhaktaya Namaha. Yes. Uh, and, so many others to say that he was so devoted to Dasharatha. I was just remembering also that when somebody does something big, you get them a very special gift. At that time, for somebody who's done something very big, you really think, what would he really love to have? What would really make him most happy? What can I give him as that gift for what has been done? Now this is what Indra was thinking. So when Rama had killed Ravana, he was thinking, what is it that would make Rama the most happy? At that time, he doesn't bring Sita. There's not any other of those things. The first thing he does is he brings Dasharatha there in front of Rama, and Rama gets that opportunity to meet Dasharatha again. Shows, what greater gift to Rama than to have met Dasharatha again. That's a wonderful thing. Anybody else? Any comments, memories from what's going to happen now? Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, like we also, I remember that Lakshmana telling Rama that just let's say, okay, I will just go put this old man in jail and I will put you, and also I remember that palace when he enters, and when he goes back, if I am correct, he doesn't go back in a chariot, he goes by walk because it's.
Oh, beautiful point. You're right.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
he just takes it up from that point. He just says, okay, all these are not mine. So that is something
Wow.
amazing.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you so much. That's a fantastic addition. I will see to it that I catch up on that. That's a big miss. That's beautiful. Thank you. What else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Haribol.
Yes, Prabhuji. One more thing was Dashrata, he was in so much distress as if a tree has been cut from its roots. And he was thinking, how will he tell this to everyone else? That he has been influenced by his wife, because of which he is taking such a step. And Dashrata was also thinking about how he will tell this to Kaushalya. Kaushalya, who has been his servant, his friend, like a mother. And that's when you made this point about how in a grihastha ashrama, the relationship between a husband and wife has all the different rasas like vatsalya, dasya, sakhya, madhurya. So he's thinking that how will I give her this trust, and she has given me my most dear son. So how will I tell this to her? So he was very
Beautiful.
upset about
Very
that.
nice. Mm, mm, mm.
Prabhu, one more thing can I add?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu,
Wow.
again,
I'm so happy. Some of these are wonderful points, specifically the different rasas or relationships with, why he cherishes his relationship with Kaushalya. That's fantastic. Thank you. Yes, Prabhu.
what we saw during the talks of Dashratha and Kaikeyi, so much. He tried his best to convince her, but then she was not. She was not convinced. So at the end, what Dashratha said, he just fell at Kaikeyi's feet, and then from there we could see his distress. From there, we could see so many times he was just falling down and getting up till Rama reached Sarayu River and beyond, and then finally Rashad was taken back, and then finally left. But then so many things, so many as the story goes on, we saw that how Dashrata fell, and then we also discussed that he being a Kshatriya, but then still he was just one. So So these are
Wow.
very touching. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Jai, beautiful, very beautiful. Yeah, now I remember how many times he just fainted, swooned in that situation. So, from one day being the king, the one who comes and gives darshan to everybody, I'm sort of imagining, likening him to Bhishma in many ways, though not with a big white flowing beard, but Bhishma, but an elderly person there who's always been the king, who gives confidence to everybody. Here is completely shattered. That his 14 days to deathbed from that time. So it's not small at all. Beautiful point. Thank you. Somebody else?
Prabhu, just a quick one. We also saw how Lord Rama, there's no like reduction after him getting to know about this whole news that he has to go for to the forest for 14 years. There's no reduction in his happiness. He does not change at all. Nothing at all negative. No overwhelming or underwhelming, if that's a word. Uh, and and also we see further that I think we discussed this today as well, that as soon as Rama gets out of that room, there's a big vessel, all the abhishek
He
ready for
did.
the Raja Abhishek. So those vessels, Lord Rama does a pradakshina for all of that. So utmost respect and presence of mind is always there. And it's not that Lord Rama is disheartened in any way. He's happy and very much respecting the decision of Kekai and Dasharatha.
Hmm. Yeah, that's there. But you'll also hear what's going to be in the beginning now as he enters Kaushalya's home. Because till the time he enters Kaushalya's home, he is in the public view. Yes. But when he's at Kaushalya's home, this is mummy after all. And he has an opportunity to sort of express himself. We'll come to that. Hey, there. Nice point, Simran. Thank you so much. Somebody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes,
This is the
ma'am.
first time I am attending Prabhu's class. I don't know whether you explained it or not, but I am asking that Mandara told all these things to Kaikeyi because Mata Saraswati made Mandara say all these things. Am I right, Prabhu?
Yeah, there are many versions of Ramayana. The
Hmm.
Valmiki Ramayana doesn't make any reference to Saraswati inspiring mantra
Yeah.
or anything like that. This possibly some of the acharyas, other commentaries could be there. Some other speakers can be speaking on this. Per se,
Hmm.
Valmiki Ramayana not there. But thank you for contributing.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Somebody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Rama first goes to Kausalya's room, palace.
Hmm.
There he will sit on some throne or chair, and Kausalya is very happy by seeing Rama there.
Ah,
Slowly, Rama tells her that he is going to forest. I didn't remember exactly what they spoke, but Kausalya says, "I also come along with you to the
hmm,
forest." But
hmm.
Rama didn't agree with her. He told her that you should serve my father. You should not leave him in this age. So you should do your duties here only. Then
Wow. Hmm. Please carry on.
uh, then he goes to Sita's room, Sita's place.
Very
I
nice.
didn't remember
Hey,
exact answer. Okay.
hold the Sita piece. That's coming 2-3 chapters down the line because there are 2 chapters. First, he spends more time with his mother than his wife. You see, just on the lighter side. Um, yes, we'll come to that. Thank you. Anybody else? Can we just focus on Kaushalya, Rama, and Lakshmana and this discussion that happens there? Though Lakshmana comes back, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, on why he wants to make Shah Jahan out of Dasharatha. Yes, so all that
Prabhu,
discussion is happening. Any other
Hare
comments?
Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu,
Yes,
if we
Prabhu.
can speak on the Kaushalya and Ramambi, there was one particular point.
Ah,
Kaushalya, he offers Rama a seat of gold, and Rama is already online on a mission to on a mission to forest.
to
So
live
he
like a
cannot
rishi.
sit rishi. So he cannot sit on the throne, but to keep his mother's word, he just touches the seat. So that part I
Very beautiful. Very
yes.
nice point. Very nice point. See, when somebody offers you something, Rama does that even with Rama says to Kaushalya, please keep serving Dasharatha. Yes, Radha Saki Mataji, very, very valid point. So, you see, when Guha is being met, Guha comes and offers him various things. When Guha is offering, Rama accepts the offering. He does not consume it, because that day Rama is not consuming it. In a similar manner, here, this is the mother who is here coming. As soon as a child comes, this is the first thing mother asks. When you come from school, what did you eat? Are you hungry? Do you want to eat something? This is mother. Yes, this is why the mother has many more pindas that is offered to her than the father is offered. So like that, first she asks him to sit down and asks him to eat. And Rama does not accept the seat. He just moves that seat aside, because it's a golden seat, as Prabhu said. Doesn't all these ornamented stuff is not his flavor anymore, and does not accept the prasadam either. Mind you, Kaushalya and Sumitra are always together. So Sumitra is always also there in the background, though not evidently stated. It comes back later. Anybody else? Any comments?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandavana.
Hare Krishna.
Purushottam Prasad Dasya.
Purushottam Prasad Prabhu, Swagatam. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, the point that you have mentioned, the reason for your father's distress is you. You know, somebody pointing, even the Supreme Lord, who is absolute truth, who is completely perfect, who is all loving, all equal to such a personality. There is a comment saying that you are the cause for your. So, though he is not, but somebody always there to comment as how much perfect you are, how much great you are, doesn't matter. The nature of this material universe is that there is
even Rama will get blamed.
See, even Supreme Lord Ram get blamed. What to speak of us? How much we are perfect, how much is sincere. There will be always scope for us. Somebody will point, somebody will criticize. If we know this basic nature of this world, will not be get offended by anyone, even though they are criticizing, they are offending. We can understand, oh, this is the nature of the world, but there is always scope for me to improve, you know. Like
and you know what accentuates this more for Rama? Because Dasharatha is saying, Ramam me anugata drishtihi. Later he was going to tell Kaushalya that my eyes have gone with Rama, because, you know, why did you think I'm 60,000 years old? And why do you think I'm still so young? It is just Rama. Just the fact that I spend time with Rama, that's what's nourishing me. And that's why I've remained young. It's not days that I will survive without Rama. That affectionate a father, he thinks that Rama is the actual source of his happiness. How will I live without Rama? When that person is being told that you are the source of his distress, you are the source of his unhappiness, the contrast is deafening. Yes, the contrast is unpalatable. That's what comes out. Thank you, Prabhu, for that. Any other comments?
Yeah.
Anybody else? Any Prabhu also? Anything else?
So actually, the point of discussion between Rama and Kaushalya actually wishes that the day that Rama is actually going to leave would be the same day that he comes back from the forest. Like, you know, she doesn't want him to leave, basically.
Wow. She wishes if this had been very nice. Beautiful point. Okay. It didn't catch my eye this time when I was looking up. Wonderful. This is the wealth that we have created. We have taken 2 years and 1 month to go through Ramayana, Ayodhya Kanda in this detail. And this churn and the responses that I'm seeing from all of you, this is, you know, this is the greatest, I would say, crowning glory of this effort. All of you have encouraged. We have all been able to do this together. Thank you. Thank you. Very happy to hear. Anything else? Let's churn. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams.
Pranam.
Prabhu, at least I'm fortunate that very recently I could join the class thanks to Radha Saki Mataji's circulating. So I have unfortunately missed your classes for last 2 years. But in this, we have been hearing Ramayana from our childhood, something or the other. So there is also, I mean, of course, it may not have come immediately, but I'm not sure. But a thought here for Mother Sumitra also a role that she instructs, I think, Lakshmana to be always with the brother and serve. Somewhere it should
Right.
come. I'm not sure whether it comes immediately in your discourse, but somewhere it comes.
You're right, Prabhu. It's a few chapters down where it's a very brief bidding adieu that Lakshmana has with his mother, and there's some very, very important verses worth learning. In fact, if I'm right, we tried to learn those verses. They will come. Very beautiful point. Thank you for sharing.
Very
What
good.
else? What else? Okay. Can I move now? Can I get into the actual details of what I'm able to see from my notes? And please add if there is anything that's being missed by me beyond this. So when Rama is actually coming in there, he's in pain, but he's self-possessed in that situation. So there's an explanation about Rama entering the first courtyard, etc., and then going into the second courtyard. When he goes to the inner chambers, he sees a lot of elderly brahmanas. That's the kind of association that Kausalya generally has. So she has a lot of those brahmanas there. Also, the queen's inner chambers will always have elderly people guarding it. These will not be young guards. So with these elderly brahmanas who are there, who've been taken care of by Kaushalya because of her piety, because Kaushalya is always performing some pious activity or the other. So when he goes into the inner courtyard, he's able to see many of these people, many of them actually, some big function has just been completed, a yajna is being completed. On one side, Purnahuti is happening, one puja is happening at this thing. Kaushalya has not done these prayers just today because Rama is getting coronated, but she's always been doing, because she is referred to by the name Putra Hitaishini, that she is always thinking of the well-being of her son. And therefore, for her son, what is she doing? Prabhate akarot pujam Vishnoho. She gets up very early in the morning and she's doing puja of Vishnu for Vishnu. So then the yajna is being performed. So when Rama sees her, first he goes and bows down to her. She lifts him, embraces him, smells his forehead, and she gives him a very special blessing. Listen to this blessing. She says, Vriddhanam Dharmashilanam Raja Rishinam Mahatmana Mahatmanam Prapnuhi Ayushcha Kirtimscha Dharmamcha Upahitam Kule Vriddhanam Dharmashilanam. May you be. How? Like the old practitioners of Dharma. So why you are blessing your son now that he has to be like the old man? Because of your blessing, now he is going to the forest. Vriddhanam Dharmashilanam Raja Rishinam Mahatmanaha. So just as Rajarshis, and that's where she doesn't know what's coming, but these are the words more like a premonition, and which come from her. And then she's saying that, see to it that and then she's saying Satyam Pratignyam Pitaram Rajanam Pashyaragava. He says the king, you see, the king made had made a commitment before that you're going to become king, and you see now he is fulfilling it. He is Satya Pratigyam. He is one who keeps his words always. Yes. So what does all this mean? First, you follow the predecessor of our elderly predecessors of our family. Like that, go become a Rajarshi and live in the forest. That is one. And then secondly, she is telling him that your father's greatness is his Satya Pratigya, that he never breaks his words. So see, now he's going to make you king. She doesn't understand what's happening. So she's giving him, offering him food. And this is something possibly we can also adopt in our lives. When somebody offers us food, it's not that every time we have to honor it. Yes, sometimes we have to take care of our health, etc. We just can't. So a good way to do it, you can touch it and accept it and show respect to that, and that's authorized in Ramayana, that you will be able to do that. And same thing, when somebody asks you to sit, Rama just touches that asana, doesn't sit on that, and then he tells her, hey mummy, you know what, um, it's time for me to not accept a golden seat, but I should be sitting on a darbasana, and that too in Dandakaranya, in line with what you just blessed me. So, and then he says, you see, there's something that's come up, and that's going to be Mahat Bhayam Upastitam. There is a great fear that has come. Who's this Mahat Bhayam for? The Acharyas say that this is not Mahat Bhayam for me. The problem is, Idam Tavacha Dukkaya. This is going to be very hard for you. And Vaidehya Lakshmanasya cha, for Vaidehi and this Lakshmana who is standing here with teary eyes next to me, it is going to be sad, very difficult for all of you. And then he says, he gives the two conditions, Chaturdashahi Varshani, Maharajo, and he refers to Dasharatha there by the term Maharaja. He says, not my father, because generally a father wouldn't want his son to go to this thing. But because he is Maharaja, because he is given a word, and therefore I am following the words of the Acharya, of the king, and he has instructed me to leave, therefore I have to. So Kaushalya, when she hears this papata, she immediately falls down, and Rama goes there, picks her up from the ground, Rama and Lakshmana, and then seats Kaushalya is standing like a mare whose a horse whose bacha has been taken away. And this also is like Ajata Pakshaiva Mataram Kaga Stanyam Pibantam Vatsataraha Shudartaha. So that affection that she is having now, she is in great grief and distress. She says, hey, listen, it should have been better if I had not had a son. But after having a son like this and that son being taken away, this is impossible. Yes, you may not know, and I have not been complaining to you, but I have been sidelined from the time Kaikeyi came. I have been treated many times as if I'm the servant. I have to heard many harsh words from her. Yes, and things never come to my ear first. I always have to hear it from somebody else. I've been neglected in many ways. I've always felt I've been in and now I've always been afraid. Some people, when you go near them, you're frightened. You're thinking, oh, what will they say? Should I speak to him? I don't want to go near them. That's the situation that I've been with Kaikeyi. I've endured all of these insults. I've been through all of that. But you know what made me endure all of that? Just the fact that I see your face has been the respite from all of this. This is like for somebody who's been beaten by the sun, just seeing you is that great shade which is peace giving. And you've been that, and now you're being taken away. How am I going to live? It is better that Yama takes me away at this point in time. Why is he keeping me here? It looks like I'm so hard-hearted, my heart is like iron, that it's not bursting into smithereens at this point in time. All of this penance, all of the charity, all of the worship that I've done for so many years seems to be of no avail. My life is useless. How can I live here, Rama? I cannot live here, as one of the Mataji pointed out. I'm ready to follow you to the forest. And along with that, all the other women in the forest, in the palace, they also forest already, uh, they also start wailing, looking at the condition, all of them. So the beauty of what we see here is how Rama is managing his anger at this point in time. He's managing his grief, and even in this most difficult situation, Rama is actually thinking of what his mother, what is difficult for his mother, what is difficult for Sita. That's the main thought that is there in Rama. Anybody else? Any comments before I move on to the next part? Am I missing out on anything? Anything else that you have in your notes? See, these notes that you have made are the true wealth. And whenever you look at these, this whole episode is going to come there right in front of your eyes. Yes, so this is your true wealth, and this is your your greatest wealth and collection. Yes.
Prabhu, just adding on, the same Dashratha who was actually glorified and respected and adored by many people, now, like, people are calling him a foolish person because he's sending, the most, I mean, the one who's very dear to him, he's just sending him away without even thinking. So, people are really upset.
Beautiful point. And this comes out even amongst the rest of the queens that are there. And they are saying it looks like the old man's gone nuts. That's the exact next thing coming up. Beautiful. What else? Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
One more point, when Lord Rama was speaking to Kaushalya, Kefi, Mother Kefi, that's when he said that if my father asks me to drink poison or if there's a fire lit for me, then I'll immediately do that. And he says that you are telling this to me that my father is afraid of sharing this with me because I might get hurt. But actually, the words of my guru, father, or king are those that I'll immediately follow. And in this case, all of them happen to be my father himself, because my father is also the king, he's also the guru, and he's also my father. So,
Wow.
the instructions are those that he should follow immediately. And he's saying that this person has been my guru and he has taught me everything. And apart from that, he's my father, he's my king also, and he's also my well wisher. And then this section comes, I'm not sure whether it comes immediately after this, but even Lakshmana, he is very shocked to see Lord Rama like this. He's saying how
Oh, beautiful. Very nice. Very nice. Actually, Lakshmana is completely shell shocked. He's not even talking because,
Yes.
he cannot imagine. Beautiful point. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. I have to add this on. Very beautiful. He's completely shocked to see that somebody can take it in this manner. And he's there up close and personal looking at Rama. Very nice. Move on. Carry on.
Yes, Prabhu. So Lakshmana, he is watching Lord Rama and he's seeing how dedicated he is to his father. He accepts his father as his authority, how dedicated he is to Dashratha, and he's not worried about anything else. This is the only thing that he's worried about, that he's received this instruction from his father, so he must follow that. And he's also thinking that here is Lord Rama, who should have been crowned king, who would have had everything. A few hours the same day, he should have had everything, being the king. But looking at this wonderful trait of Lord Rama, that he is so equipoised, he has such this great quality. He's such a grave person, and what a tyagi he is. And looking at this quality, Lakshmana was completely shocked. He had no time to think about anything else. So he was
True.
admiring the greatness of Lord Rama.
So why did this was more or less an answer to why did Lakshmana not react? Because Lakshmana was more shocked, not by the fact, but he was more shocked by Rama's response to this whole thing. Beautiful. Very nice. Thank you for bringing that very important point. Very nice. Very
Hare
nice.
Krishna,
Excellent.
Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I guess this was here only when, at this stage, if I best of my memory, he told Rama that you are the king and don't worry about Bharata. I can just fight with him alone and with his army, and I can put Bharata behind the bars, and then you are the king. That's it. So
True. That piece is coming up now. We are
yes.
we are
Sorry,
going to
Prabhu.
see Lakshmana's anger
Sorry. Yeah.
immediately. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for that. Anybody else? Hey, these contributions are just A class. Thank you. Thank you for making it. Thank you for, I was just thinking on the 10th, I'm going to be speaking on the Ramayana, 10th of April at the Regent School. But then the beauty of what you get in Zoom with this kind of interactions, you cannot get there. How many mics can you have? How many people can switch their mics on and speak immediately, one after another? Yes.
Jai.
So this is also a boon and a blessing. That, believe me, this is a kind of recording that we should put out there. If people want to know what we have done in the last 2 years and 1 month, this is what we have done. Yes, together, this is what we've been able to create. Because if I'm missing out on something right from the very notes I spoke, you are able to supplement that with so many other points. A big thanks to all of you. Very nice. Somebody else? Any other churn?
Just one point that you made. Though we heard many times, the Lord is the one who reminds us from within the heart And more than us, the Lord relishing within our hearts, I feel, he gives that memory to recollect. See, my devotees, how interestingly exchanging their happiness with each other. Kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha.
Wow. Very
That's
nice.
happening. Yes.
Very nice. What can be more happy? Believe me, what can be more happy for us that other than to speak about Rama? As one of the Matajis pointed out the last week, I think uh, thanks to this study of Ramayana, we've all developed so much affection for Lord Rama that Rama is an innate part of our thought process. When we lead the activities of our life, we are going back and referring to Rama and Ramayana and how he did and what we should and should not. I think, and that's a very, very important deliberation to have. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for that. Any other comments before I get into the chapter? Don't hold back. Anything you have, please just go ahead, shoot. The more the merrier. Jai. Great. Then I'll move on. So now we are getting into, as Hemarupa Prabhu was pointing out, we are getting into this zone where Lakshmana comes in a fit of rage, and he says, looks like this old man's really gone nuts at this point in time. And he's because he's a man who's been seeking pleasure, and this is his favorite wife. Whatever she says, he is doing it. For what offense? What offense have you ever committed for which you should be exiled? In fact, there is nobody ever who can find any fault in you. And then he brings to the point, I'm having to run through all of this. I feel like I want to put the brakes and get into more detail, but if we are going to cover at this pace, we'll take a few more months to redo Ayodhya Kanda this way. So then he looks at Kaikeyi and Kaushalya, and he says, actually, this kingdom belongs to you. This Koshala Desha, when you got married, you came with a huge tract of land, and that's the land that Dasharatha is sitting and ruling over. And who does it belong to other than to your son? And then he's telling Rama, hey, listen, when you are standing to back me up, I am like the fire. I will be in the forefront and I will finish anybody who comes by. Yes? And you're a great gentleman, and what is happening here is you're being treated very badly and you're not standing up for yourself. So even if our father, he's our father, but I'm telling you, I will imprison him. I will put him in prison, and if necessary, I will finish this old man, so that you are you are able to get what is rightfully yours. Then he says, here Lakshmana makes a commitment, and he says, Deeptam Agnihi Aranyam Va Yadi Ramam Pravekshati. So he's telling Kaushalya, hey, Kaushalya Mata, even if he's got to go to this forest, let me tell you one thing. If he is entering a forest which is in fire, please understand that Pravishtam Tatratam Devi Mam Purvam Avadaraya. Please understand, if you are going to ever hear that Rama entered a forest of blazing fire, please understand that I have already entered that blazing fire and he is only following me. That's the kind of commitment that Lakshmana is making to Kaushalya at this point in time. Then he says to Kaushalya, Kaushalya is looking at Rama, and Kaushalya is saying, see, your brother is also expressing this, but she knows that she is not going to shake Rama. She says, you decide what you want to do. He has expressed this, so Rama is looking, and now is time for Rama to put things in place. So Rama gives 2-3 examples. He says there was one sage Kandu who had to actually kill a cow. There was a particular reason in order to fulfill his father's words. There is the sons of Sagara who had to go through terrible death, all because their father wanted them to do something. There is the example of Parashurama who killed his mother Renuka because of his father's words. In a similar manner, I shall not let my father's word slip under any circumstance. Then he says, hey, Lakshmana, I know your valor, I know your capability, but let us understand one thing. Artha and Kama are secondary, Dharma is supreme, and to that Dharma is an integral part of that Dharma is Satya, and we are here to actually fulfill that Satya. And then he says, you know, uh, he is telling to Kaikeyi, therefore, uh, please don't talk about which is I think the point one of the girls brought up. Don't talk about going to the forest with me as much as you would be attached to me. Just as there is the duty of a kshatriya, there is the duty of a stree, that you cannot let go of my father under any circumstance. But at that point in time, um, Kaushalya and Rama says, I will not leave without your permission, so please permit me. So Kaushalya is saying, hey, listen, Rama, I'm your mother. I'm also your guru. Yes. And I'm telling you, do not go to the forest. Don't do this. Yes. And then she's inconsolable. She's lamenting at that point in time. So Rama actually feels very bad seeing his mother in that particular situation, specifically by the fact that she is such a righteous person and he doesn't want to see her in that situation. So Rama then addresses Lakshmana and he tells him, hey, aham hi te Lakshmana nityameva. I know your great devotion to me, that you will never swerve. Yes, and I understand your intention. You don't want to cause pain to my mother, and that's why you're so affected by this at this point in time. But let me give you some advice. Rama gives some beautiful advice. When you have difficult choices to make, how do you make one out of the decide one for the other? So then he says, literally, dharma viruddho bhuteshu, very close to that. Dharmartha kama kalutata loke. In this world, these things, dharma, artha, kama, are very closely entwined with each other. Many times they are inseparable. And we are working because we have some kama, we want to get some artha, and therefore we are working. But let me tell you one thing. Many times these three, if these three actions cannot be performed simultaneously, they don't fulfill. One particular activity need not be that which actually gives you artha and kama. It may look like. So if you have to choose one out of the three, it always has to be dharma, because you cannot choose kama. You will become a lusty person who or a conjuice who is only after money, or wants to satisfy his desires. Or if it is artha, then you will become a conjuice who is only after money. So going on the extremes of both of these is not right. But if you are a dharmavit, a person who knows dharma, and if you follow dharma, that's the best. Because what happens next? So if it is that there is a circumstance you have to give up an artha and kama and perform dharma, no problem. May that be so. Because by doing that, ultimately artha and kama will come by on their own course. So then he looks at Kaushalya and he says, how can you talk about leaving Dasharatha? This vidava iva, as if you're a widow. Don't you have your responsibilities there? He says, please, mommy, permit me. Let me go. He says, there are two things. On one side, I have a piece of glass. On another side, I have a diamond. The piece of glass is the kingdom. The diamond is my father's words. Is the choice difficult to make? For me, it's very, very clear. My choice is my father's, to fulfill my father's words. Stating this, Rama is able to close out on this particular discussion there. And then he says, this kingdom is insignificant, and I don't wish uh, so I don't wish to this thing. Please permit me to go. I want your good wishes and your blessings to go. Please permit me to. Chakaram tam kriti jananim pradakshina. What did he do? He did a production of his mother. His mother spoke beautiful words. I think that's coming later on, but I possibly don't have this here. She spoke the same words that Aditi spoke to Vamana when there's some reference there. Can somebody pick it up from your notes and share that with me? So with that, we talk about the initial anger that is shown by Lakshmana that we have seen, and Kaushalya's arguments and how they get over it. Any other comments? Anybody? I can't believe it. We are at 9. When are we ever going to be able to wrap this up? Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Anything that I missed out? Any additions to what we have discussed till now? Hare Krishna. I think it is sort of time to wrap. I know we are going at a much faster pace than we were before, but still, I think we are maneuvering around to see that the most important points remain. I mentioned once or twice that I forgot that particular point, and a few of you had beautifully pointed some of those out. Can I request that you WhatsApp me those so that I go back in there and plug it into my notes, because some of those points are not worth missing. I think we are not just trying to skim through the Katha and become Kathakars, but we are trying to become people who are admirers of Valmiki Ramayana, people who religiously follow and abide by the Valmiki Ramayana, who are students of the Valmiki Ramayana. So I think that perspective is more important. So please share that with me. That will take me a big distance in going towards completing, and seeing to that my notes are complete. Thank you very much. Can we all switch our mics on, have our Jai Gosha, and move on?
Jai.
Everybody mic'd up?
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jai.
Jai.
Srimad Valmiki Ramayan ki.
Jai.
Ramachandra Bhagavan ki.
Jai.
Dasharath Maharaj ki.
Jai.
Kaushalya Maiya ki.
Jai.
Rani Kaikeyi ki.
Jai. Jai.
Mantara ki, everybody is Jai only. All Hare Krishna Maha Mantra together. Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare Hare. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa
Sindhubhya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Ramarupa Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandut Pranam. Simran, thank you for putting it all together. Chamili Mataji, a regular person. Ravi Kiranji, nice to see you. Soba Shri Kumar, Nandrani and Gokul Taruni. Vanjula, thank you for joining in. Geetimaji, Hare Krishna. Gauri Sairam, Ramesh Adnani ji, and Radha Saki Mataji, thank you, and for you and your team. Kavi Rupa Radhika Mataji, Vaishnavi, Hemarupa Prabhu, Raja, Hare Krishna. Purushottam Prasad Prabhu, we have been missing you for some time. Gauranga Prasad Prabhu and Harini, namaskaram to all of you. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hey, and let's not forget, I forgot this announcement. Can you hold? Don't switch off. Hold. You know, we are organizing the Ramayana tour. Already the announcement's gone out. There's going to be more happening. Let us see as many of us we will be able to go. It is going to be a very economical tour because we are not trying to make any money on this. This is a cost to cost basis organized by devotees with a clear devotional intent. We are going to have two great people join us right through this tour. I already have 81 people who have registered for this, and I expect by the time we are done with it, we will have 3 buses going, 45 people each bus. That's the anticipation and the hope. We are going to have the greats like Sarvabhauma Prabhu, who is going to be joining. His Grace Sarvabhauma Prabhu ki Jai. And Vrindavan Chandra Maharaj, who is also a great scholar of Valmiki. We have picked to see that both of these are scholars of Valmiki Ramayana. And we're going to have loads of kirtan, and we're going to be hearing from these two great personalities. We are going to visit all of those spaces that fall within the gamut of the Balakanda and Ayodhya Kanda. Please see to it that if there are any very spiritually inclined devotee, Hare Krishna devotees so they understand that this is devotees organizing something. Aage piche kuch ho jaye, We are not here to bother about, is my accommodation right? Did I get my food? Did I not get something to eat? No, that's not important. Did we get enough Ram Katha? Did we get enough opportunity to do Smarana of Rama? Did we hear Rama Kirtan right through? Did we get to visit all the important spaces? That's the priority. If any people are interested in that kind of priority, please ask them to join us for this tour. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Sri Ramchandra Bhagavan ki jai.
Jai.
Bye.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.